what's up guys? If you have not been on YouTube for the last couple of months, then this is a new radio to you. Most likely though you've already seen this. This is the TIVDIO HR11S. This is a survival emergency radio. This is the shortwave model. They also have a model that does weather band radio, and that's a red model. Different radio. A couple of things right off the top. I recorded a bunch of clips that I'm going to follow on with this, what I think is pretty good, but just wanted to cover some of the basics, then we'll talk about what I think about the radio at the end here. So there's a solar panel. It's mentioned in the instructions that the solar panel is really just to keep it charged up, and that you really should use the hand crank to get it going. There's a USB port on the side for charging your phone or whatever accessories. It takes an SD card so you can actually record, much like you can with that other TIVDIO that I reviewed not too long ago, the little black one. The quality of radio is not bad. It has the same shortcomings as the other TIVDIO, not the greatest on shortwave. And that TIVDIO is the V115. I wouldn't be all surprised if it comes out that the HR11S has some of the same components and same circuitry design as the V15. Some of the quirky features though that weren't covered in other videos, I'm going to cover in this video. It has a Bluetooth speaker, which is pretty good, and it has an ebook reader. Yeah, more on that later. But anyway, let's roll those clips and tell me what you think in the bottom here. And I'll be back at the end to give you my thoughts on what I didn't like about the radio.
So you may want to start with just once a week until the weather warms up. Or consider using water gathered from your shower or in a rain barrel. If you're ready to start planting, look for native and drought-tolerant perennials suited to USDA Hardiness Zone 7A.
Coordinated universal path.
So a lot of times with survival radios such as this, the ones that have hand cranks and power out and light and solar panels on the top, they kind of do a bit of everything, but they don't do anything that well. The TIVDIO HR11S is actually pretty good as a radio, first and foremost. It does a pretty good job in AM. It does a pretty admirable job on shortwave. I was actually pretty surprised. It takes a long time to scan. It took it over 7 minutes to scan through the entire bands. But still, that's not bad considering it's a kind of budget-friendly shortwave survival radio.
Shooting Park works wonders. Trade shows, company barbecues, birthday and bachelor parties, they've done it at Prado. Bring the whole family for an exciting day. Earlier this week was appreciate you doing it.
24 points, Klay Thompson. 33.
So normally when people talk about emergency radios, my go-to recommendation is the Kato Voyager, and this is the KA500 model. I also have the Voyager Pro, which is its more expensive big brother. Almost the same features. This one has a little bit more going on. I really like this little humidity and temperature gauge. We'll talk about that radio in another video. The difference though, let's compare them side by side. The TIVDIO is just a tiny little thing in comparison. Sound quality is going to be better. The AM quality is really nice on this radio, but the features are relatively the same. You don't get the little map light that is on the Kato, and I think, though, generally that's about it. It shares almost everything else. I think this doesn't do weather, though, right? This is just shortwave. This does shortwave and weather. But size comparison, you can see it's crazy, right? It's crazy. Also, this is $40, about $40 I believe on Amazon. I'll post the link in the description and it'll be on my Hashnasi shop. I think it is already there. So okay, none of my reviews would be complete if I didn't tell you what I didn't like about this radio. Okay, what I don't like about this radio, this menu system and these buttons are ridiculous. Every time I pick this radio up, I have to relearn how to use this radio. It is a complex system of jumping between functions and features. And while it does have buttons that if you long press them, you can get into shortwave, medium wave, and FM. Did I get that right? Close enough. To get into the other features like the Bluetooth, you have to go through this mode and then menu and then escape, and you got to jump back and forth. And then you got to use the 7 and 8 button to scroll, and the menu button both functions as getting into the menu and then selecting your option when you have the option selected that you want. Also, the ebook reader I think is a throw-on, but it doesn't work that well. That was Bram Stoker's Dracula that we were reading there for a little bit, and it's kind of a hodgepodge. It's not a very good ebook reader, but at the same time, it's a survival radio. So the mere fact that it's there, I guess you could put this as a sanity item for the user, for use guys that are readers. You could load up some books and you could actually read off of this if you had nothing else powered. But at the same time, I think I'd rather crank for like 8 hours on this thing and send that charge into my iPhone and keep that running, which is a much better screen. The other downside is the scanning is relatively slow. The scanning for the radio is not great. You're going to be a lot better off with the Kato if it's actual shortwave AM, FM, and yeah, that you wanted to scan. The weather is also very handy. It's nice that it's all in one thing. But again, this thing's tiny, so you got to scan for 7 minutes. No big deal. And in fact, if there's very few channels to pick up, it goes pretty quickly. And if you've already posted comments going, what the heck was all that screeching in the beginning, I recorded off of my mobile UHF radio the recent International Space Station SSTV pictures that they were downlinking. And then I played it off of this into my phone, because this will play recordings like MP3s or whatever. And the sound quality was really good. It was so good that the phone was able to pick it up and decode the image. So if you think about it, I recorded into a digital recorder off of the microphone on the recorder. So out of the speaker into the mobile. The CF card then went into this radio, and I played it from this radio, and then I picked it up on the microphone on the iPhone. So that's already multiple levels of loss that I introduced, going from speaker to mic to speaker to mic. And it performed very well. So I give it some points for that. And just so you're curious, this is not picking up the International Space Station. This doesn't do VHF, UHF. But it was an interesting enough test, something quirky, that I threw it in there. So to compare and contrast the two again and give you a recommendation of which one you should get, The Kato is obviously a lot bigger, although it has the weather. It's got a much more analog control set to it, and you actually do tune with a wheel here on the side, which is kind of classically cool. You can go with the Voyager Pro, but you're paying upwards, I believe, $100. This thing's $40 at the time of recording. That's a pretty good deal, and it's much smaller. It's much more portable. You could take this with you on a backpack trip or camping or whatever and not really feel that weight if you have to carry your stuff. If you're car camping or whatever, then maybe the Kato's a better option for you. I don't know. I'll leave you to decide. I'm not paid for this one at all. This is me just kind of wanting to do something quirky and interesting with the radio. So, well, none of my reviews I'm paid for, but regardless, I'm not biased by anything about this radio, so I'm just telling you the way I see it, which it has a lot of features, and it's got a very difficult menu system, but if it's one of your only radios and you're comfortable with it, which you can pick it up pretty quickly once you put it down after a couple of days and come back to it, it's a pretty good radio. Okay, that'll do it, guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Click that little ding-a-ling bell. It gives you a reminder every time I go live or whenever I post a new video. That would help me out a lot. Give me a thumbs up if you have not already. We've got the Ham Radio Crash Course on the Facebook, link in the description, and my Hosnasi page on the Facebook as well. And then we've got the Patreon. I'm doing $1, gets you access to the newsletter, and then we've got some other perks along the way as well. So that link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Post your comments below if you have any questions or comments, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.